Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Community Dissection. In this episode, we are dissecting the Loom community. I'm really excited to share more about Loom as a product. It's a tool that I've been using for years and years. And I recently saw that they were touting their community. So wanted to check it out and figured this would be a great way to see and understand how they are using community to support their product. So today I have two guests with me, two new guests, all in one episode. So Mark and Lila, do you guys want to say hi so the video switches to you?
Hello, I'm
Hey
Mark.
everyone. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Mark.
No, hello, I'm Mark. Mark Schwanke. I've been a community manager for about 10 years now.
Great.
Currently, I'm in the health space.
Great. And then hi everyone. My name is Lila Faria. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I have been in the community space for less long, so a little bit over 5 years now. And I run Lila Faria Consulting, so I'm sort of around.
Woo! Awesome.
Great to meet you both.
Yeah, it's great to be on here with you guys. So, okay, so wanted to give some history of Loom just to kick us off. So just to set the context a little bit. So Loom is a software company that was founded in 2016, and the company is based in San Francisco. They're a video messaging platform that basically allows you to share your screen while showing your video, and you can easily share and create videos. They especially blew up during COVID, obviously with all the work remote. They started as a network of their expert friends giving companies product feedback, but they pivoted actually 4 to 5 times over the course of 7 months to land on what the product is today. And they are often touted as a product-led example of product-led strategy, but any good product strategy also gets great user feedback, which can also dip heavily into community strategy when it's smart. So they initially launched their product to an invite-only beta, which helped them build a strong community of early adopters who provided feedback on the product and helped spread the word. Now, I do want to differentiate between their community approach around their product and their marketing strategies, because they did use social media and influencer marketing to reach a wider audience, which in my opinion doesn't necessarily mean that you have a community-led approach, but it could. And Loom was able to quickly gain traction and grow the user base, becoming one of the most popular video messaging platforms on the market today. And I had no idea that they reached a $1 billion valuation, which kind of seems absurd to me. Not that the tool isn't great, but that's just an unfathomable amount of money. So I'll link to the articles in the show notes. But my experience, I wanted to show you, I'll start by just showing the community. It was easy to find. I actually found it because I got prompted to check out the community. I can't remember if I was on the Loom page and it said community in the corner or something, but they definitely have done a good job of connecting the product experience to the community experience. There's a link in their footer. It's not impossible to find. They don't call it something weird like Friends of Loom. It's just Loom community. It's very obvious. Thank you. You'd be shocked at how difficult that is after doing so many of these dissections. So this is the community. And right off the bat, one, it's very visually appealing, which I think is something I like the branding. It's all very consistent. One thing that is pretty obvious here to me right off the bat is that this is a home for content. And so one of the things I like to talk about in these dissections is that I consider there to be 3 pillars for community programming: events, conversation, and content. And this community it really shines in the content department. We'll say that very positively. There's a lot of content. I would guess that this community is coming out of more of a customer success department, because there's a lot of it seems like a lot of their education around getting started is the actual Loom branded, Loom directed content is being shared here. And then there's really this little section that I'm intrigued about, which is from the Loom community. And so this is kind of this, I think, is what I would hope to see more of from Loom, because one of the things I noticed at the top, it says, you know, watch tips and tricks to help you level up your use of Loom or submit your own. And when I scrolled down here and I went into from the community, I can't find for the life of me a way to submit my own video to the community. So that to me is like, it's a very it's community. The whole point of community is that you're strengthening the relationship between the customer and the brand or the product, but you're also turning those users towards each other. And I don't see many like clear pathways for how to do that. If I click on this video, I can comment, but there aren't really view comments. Let's see here. Let's see if there's, see what really right off the bat in that on those little like cards, I can't get a sense for what the engagement is around this video. And for something that like the whole tool is built off of like video and commenting and engagement, I wish that in this interface, if you could see like this has, you know, 500 views and 3 comments from the community, that would be like a really simple way to level up that experience and make that interaction a little bit stronger. So a couple other things I want to highlight. There wasn't really an onboarding experience like or a way to get connected to other members. So in my personal opinion, like I think that this is, they call it a community. I think it's more of like a holding space for content, but I think that it does have the potential to be an amazing community. I would just, my like kind of primary takeaway from the deep dive that I did was, let's focus on simply educating members with content, and let's focus more on fostering those connections between members and how can they learn from each other, which they're starting to do with that section. But I think there's so many more ways they can enhance that, especially looking at events and conversation, which are 2 pillars that I didn't find a lot of in here. So enough from me. I'd love to hear from our guests. And if you need to share your screen, you totally can, Lila and Mark. But would love to hear what's something that you liked about the community and something that you would choose to change or add or improve.
Yeah. Mark, would you
Lila,
mind if
how
I
about you
took
go
over
first?
notes? Yeah, I just, there was a lot that Bri said here that echoed what I was going to say as well, which I mentioned before. For those who are watching now, before all of this, the 3 of us met just to go through Loom a little bit and talk about what we would talk about in advance. And something that came up to me when I was looking through this was this supreme focus on the S from CMX's spaces models. So CMX has this model that's used to come up with what your community's value is, and the S represents a support-based community. And for me, what I noticed was in a different term, this is a community that's a content-based community that really focuses on utilizing not only community resources, but it also seemed like their own resources to promote supporting their users, which is great, right? Like fantastic thing to have in a community. But when I think of a community, I tend to think about something that I can really engage in, something where there's both push and pull. And what I feel like I was noticing, which it sounds like Bri, you also noticed, was less of this push and pull, less of this engagement, and more of a focus on an audience-based community, on putting this content out there so people can look at it and watch and learn, but more watching and learning and sort of viewing and listening than actually engaging and getting your hands in there.
Lila, you're being so nice, but I feel like I really wanted to dig into this. Totally good. Yes, there's a lot of confusion around what is an audience and what is a community, and they did not toe the line there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how I felt about that too. What about you, Mark?
So I think I like the visual aspect of it. My community currently doesn't have as many faces here, so that's like fresh for me. It kind of gives you a sense of you know, how long these videos are, but I also feel there's things lacking, Bri, as well. Like, yeah, you don't see how many people have viewed it to see how popular it is. So yeah, I like the fresh view of it, but the kind of the things that are lacking for me is the navigation is confusing. I don't know really what's the community. I see these faces at the top. I don't know that they're actually employees. I assume that they are because they have different treatment of the videos and they're under featured. That's all that seems to be it. Like it's probably always sticking to the top. So this feels a lot more salesy than an actual community where people interact and collaborate and show best practices. They push people down the page, so much scrolling. I come from the era of don't make me scroll, if that dates me a little bit, but it's like so much, especially if you're on your phone. And some people, their primary access to the internet is their phone. And if you're going to make them scroll down to things that, they want to find valuable, like what's going to draw the person back to this community? Like, what are they coming back to get out of this? How are they going to connect with people that they happen to like? So, for example, if you go in and you view a video, how do you go to that person's profile page to find out other videos they produced, to find out other interesting things about them, ideas? You may like identify like they did a cool thing. Well, how do I find more about that person? How do I potentially create a connection, friend them? How do I interact? To me, it seems like YouTube. This is another version of YouTube where you watch a video and you comment. Yes, you can see how many views once you pull up that video. You can react. Like that's totally cool. I'm just lacking on the actual community aspect of this, because it feels like in desktop, you see at the top use cases for business resources. It's very promoted towards selling the product, showing you what it's used for, but it's not really connecting like the post sales experience. Like, how can you utilize this? And yes, they have some examples, but I feel like, hey, if I find this video now, I come back in a week and I want to find that same video to show someone. I don't know how to search and find that video. How do I bookmark it? How do I store it? How do I, build a pin board of sorts to do that? Sorry, I went a little longer than I expected, but just some ideas floating around in my head as you guys both talk.
Yeah,
No, it's great. It's great. And I think the main, one of the main struggles that I find with community is that people often think they need a lot of content in order to launch their community. Like they kind of fall into this trap of like, it leads you right into the trap of we are performing for an audience rather than fostering a community when you get in the mindset that we need a lot of content. And so I can see that they like needed a way to organize their content. And it sort of seems a little bit like it's like help forum-y, you can, but like also it's like pretty proactive. Like you can learn how to do like new things with the tool. So I think more customer success, but really like I would call that like a knowledge base or like resource hub, learning hub. And I would kind of get rid, maybe if they're not ready for a full like community strategy, I would just get rid of the word community, frankly. But I think like some really practical steps that they could take, like, so for example, and I did want to show, Mark, you were mentioning like, how can I like engage with this person and like see them? And so I was able to click into Kate's profile, but there's like no, and here I can see that card has 406 views and 4 comments and 171 likes. And I'm like, great, like, why didn't we just show that here? Like, give me a little bit more context and like show the engagement so that it like makes me want to also engage in that. Like just tiny little tweak, but you're right. There's no way for me to get in touch with like, hey, I loved your meeting about international meetings. Like I also have a lot of international meetings. Can we meet up to like, and we can exchange tips on how we navigate that? Like, or, hey, Loom team, if you were like, Kate's video got like such good traction and it's like, she's super active on Loom. Like, let's have her host a mini workshop with like her 5 best tips for hosting working internationally. That would expand the engagement and the participation of members. Even if you can't, I get it. You might not be able to like roll out a whole like conversation channels and threads and like all of that right now, but like anyone could like come in here and add a little like event section, a little card, a little Zoom registration to hear from Kate.
Yeah.
and just, it's a really, really accessible, easy step in the right direction.
Or even like you were saying before, having some sort of button that just says record here, or here's a,
Yes.
contribute
Yes.
today. Something at the top that just says be part of this community, where I love the point also about onboarding, like a little bit of guidance around what it is that they're looking for, what these sections mean, what they want from each of these sections. Something else that I noticed during this was there's community at the top. Let's see if I can even share my screen. Here we go. Yeah, there's community, the word community at the very top, and then there's all of these things, and then they have community again from the community. And to me, all of this should be, I had assumed that all of this was from the community because there was the word at the top. But if it was, then to me, having something from the Loom community makes sense, but maybe change the first name. And then maybe all of the initiations around, like, this is where you can contribute something, this is where you can engage with one another, this is where that can all happen. Maybe a little bit of context around that would be helpful. But just that language sort of stuck out to me.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great call out. Oh, yeah, go Mark.
Oh, I was going to say that. So there's that icon there that kind of to me implies a world, maybe a loosely community. Like you don't really know that, that you're thinking that that's something, but I kind of assume it's only user content. That's what it is. It's not really, to me, a community. I also had the kind of the feeling of, I see their names and I want to click on them thinking that it'll take me to their profile, or show me a profile card with snippets about them, like how many views or videos they have, things like that. But it takes you to the video. So that was a little kind of a weird UI experience. And I'm not even sure where from there you found.
I know I had to click view comments and reply. And then I had to click on her profile, or maybe I clicked on her profile there. You have to click quite a bit. You have to be very dedicated to find how to connect with somebody.
So that was a little confusing there. It seems, there's just it's not what I'm used to. I think that's the challenge with the various communities I participated in, that I've managed. You just kind of think of it as a destination with clear calls to action, the community guidelines at the bottom, a way to post, maybe multiple ways to post. I do think when you move it to mobile and it kind of gets rid of the use cases for business resources, then that kind of just disappears. That makes it a little more delightful for me. Like, I don't need to see all that. I've probably already bought the product if I'm in the community and wanting to provide feedback or interact with other people. So those things aren't relative. I guess I'm with some communities, it makes real sense to have the same header to be a one experience. In other cases, it's fine to be a subdomain to really know that you're there and to have navigation that makes sense, so you know where you are in the community. I work with an older generation of folks that are primary people in the community, and so my community might be their first community they've ever participated on, and so that navigation has to be real clear. So I'm just a little lost. I want more. I like this concept of video sharing and whatnot, but it's just not real clear what's what, where you're going, how to get back to where you were before. How you really connect with people other than to comment on their videos.
Right. Well, okay. How cool would this be? Because this is a video sharing tool, conversation tool. This is essentially a conversation tool for remote conversation and collaboration. So it's you literally have created the tool that will make community better. You could, I'm struggling this. It's such a symbiotic relationship, right? I'm how cool would it be if instead of a traditional community conversation thread or an introductions thread, you had to post anything in the community was always to post a video. So you have your introduction space, and rather than, I think they're really keen on the card style, but they could easily just turn it into a list style with a little thumbnail of the video and your title for the video, and you could have a page of my introduction to the community, and they prompt you and say hey, how long have you been using Loom? What's your favorite way to use it? And like, where are you from? Like share in a 2-minute Loom video and then you post it. And it's just like all beautifully on that page. Like they're posited as a product to be like, have the most awesome community. Like they could make a fully like video interactive community. But I think it's just a baby community. I think they're like just starting out, if I had to guess, and they're just kind of exploring like what's going to bring us the most value, yada, yada. So I think they're on the right track. I want to see more. I think there's so much more that they could do. And I hope that they take the initiative to do it. I hope they see the value in it.
Absolutely.
I'm
really, yeah. Go for it, Mark.
I was just gonna say, do you have any sense of how those from the Loom community videos are chosen? Do you have any inkling on why they're in the order they're in? I certainly understand like the tagging that they have on them and how that puts them in the different buckets, the ones that they created, not the user generated content, but the Loom.
I have no idea.
I don't know how that has gotten there. And if it's curated, how often it changes. Like, is there a reason for me to come back? Will that update? You don't know. You're left guessing. And the videos at the top, like, yes, they have the similar kind of treatment, but it should be like, hey, this employee from, or this Zoom employee from this team or something like that, to give you a little bit of sense of where they are in the company. So you create that connection with them. Working with multiple different community platforms, I always value like the culture where the community platform gets real involved in their own community. It's not like a place where they set it and forget it and like, hey, just so go collaborate and whatever, you can come up with your ideas, but we're really not going to implement them. I like the culture of getting involved and having a highly active user community. I get the sense of, yeah, they posted the videos and like, this is cool things you can do, but I have a sense of their skin in the game and them wanting to like gather knowledge. There's probably the CSM people who interface with the sales aspect, but there's engineers. You need to give them the kind of firsthand pains and whatnot of using the app to make it better, to get people really behind the brand, to build the brand out the back door, rather than like spending all this money like advertising, like let's show this Loom advertisement on every page you visit. It's better if you build that brand out the back door and get people excited and sharing, like, hey, I did this cool thing on Loom. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Lila, but
no, I love that point. I love especially the point around how this community feels very branded and very slick and polished right now, and sort of playing into both of what you said, like what both of you said, excuse me. Something that interests me as a concept is really utilizing the fact that they are a video-based platform to explore connecting with one another in different ways. Whether that is, like Bri was saying, like having the responses only be via videos, or even something that I was imagining was having a TikTok-like section where every person responds via videos, but you can pair up those videos. You can like have the responses be in real time and sort of have one on each side. And you can have it feel more informal in this section, sort of like what you were saying, Mark. You can have a section that feels like TikTok in the fact that, if you think of TikTok versus Instagram, I feel like this community right now goes more towards Instagram. It wants to be very polished. It wants to look like everything's perfect. But we also know that this is a newer company. This is something that a lot of people are using, and in some ways it might be really beneficial not only to them but also to us and to everyone involved if we had some more transparency around the less polished elements of what it is to build a community, or what it is to build Loom, or what it is to make videos all the time, which I feel like TikTok does a better job at. TikTok is very authentic in that way.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great call.
I have a question about the functionality of Loom. So I'm new to it. Accessibility wise, once you record a video, is it going to translate into searchable, indexable text? Should this become a community that's more actual community focused, where people can search and find content that's relevant to them? I think I love the idea of it becoming video responses, but if you can't make it in a way that it's accessible
and also searchable,
it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, that's a cool novel thing, But you need to be able to find the things that are relevant so that people can come from Google organically or whatever to come in and find things and then get them lost in the community and get them coming back. So
I love that.
idea, especially if it's real simple to do, but if it's not going to produce, SEO search results and getting people back to that relevant content and prioritizing, it's going to be hard, I think.
So good. All right. Wow, I feel like that was a perfect spot to like tie it up and leave it at. I don't know the answer to your question, Mark, but I hope that is.
I'm going to search and maybe find out the answer.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't really use Loom in that way because I just use it to like create videos like one off that I'm shooting for like individual people normally. So I haven't used it in like the kind of content database, like in that function. So I'm curious too. So we'll have to look into that and follow up. But this was jam-packed with gems, and I hope of that $1 billion valuation, Loom can devote just a teeny slice of the pie to community. And honestly, like there's so much potential to make this an incredible space and be, frankly, like a leader of what community could look like with this product in tandem with the community. So I hope that they will take the steps to do that. As always, I'd like to say, for if anyone on the Loom team, if and when someone from the Loom team is watching this, we hope that you take this video with the spirit of generosity and curiosity. We are all community builders, and so we know just how hard this job is and just how many factors there are outside of your control and how many things that we don't get to see just, being on our high and mighty throne judging your community. So please take it with the spirit of curiosity and generosity that it is intended. And with that, we will see you on our next episode. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.